Good to go.
All right, welcome
Okay.
everyone. Thank you for joining our Friday's Tech Talk. Today we actually have another graduate joining us. We have Nicson Martinez, and they're going to talk about a great mindset post and pre-coding bootcamp and share some tips with us. So thank you for being here and take it away.
Thank you. So first I'll start with a little bit about me. I was born in Honduras. I lived most of my life in New York City. Graduated from the college at Brockport, which is a little bit upstate from New York City. Um, in New York State, I graduated in 2015. Computer information systems major, so not quite computer science. Uh, then graduated from the Tech Academy in 2019. Noticed that big jump there. A lot of things happened in between where I stepped off of technology and then I came right back. Um, my first tech job was working with IntegriTouch and SiriusXM as a release management engineer in 2020. Um, and then shortly after that, I got accepted to the Leap Apprenticeship program. Um, and thankfully, I did really well. The employers really liked me, and I was able to interview for Microsoft to become a full-time employee. And yeah, and I am always grateful that I had the opportunity and passed it. So what role do I have at Microsoft right now? Oh, by the way, I've been at Microsoft for 2 years now. And the current role that I have is software engineer, and I help handle data that flows through Microsoft Teams. So the data about the data or metadata. Um, somebody coming in. Um, so I have many interests: music, dance, drawing, any creativity. I like playing soccer, running, and I would be considered a non-traditional talent. Feel free to check out from immigrant to Microsoft presentation that I've done in the past, and there it will show you my entire journey, um, like just in tech in general. And I'm also a hip hop instructor at La Vida Dance. That's sort of like a part-time thing that I do every Wednesday. So yeah, software engineers can literally do anything they want, and I feel like I wanted to sort of present myself as breaking that stereotypical software engineer, right? And that's not true in real life. Like even guys behind me in this picture, some of them are software engineers too. Okay, let's go. So why do this presentation? It is because I've definitely been there where I struggled to get a job or trying to get a job, trying to get in the tech industry, not knowing what to expect. I was like, okay, so what in tech do I even want to do? Okay, let me choose coding. Okay, so what should I do to learn this stuff? I had all those same questions. And, you know, I feel like we're here to help each other. So some of the topics that I'll cover is one, just mindset in general. Two, if you're new to coding boot camps, what mindset should you have once you enter a boot camp, like before you pre? And I will talk about what to expect from a boot camp. Then, after graduating from boot camp, what's the mindset that you should have? Then I'll talk about expectations. Then I'll give some general recommendations, a conclusion, and then we'll have an ask me anything sort of open discussion. It can even be unrelated. So let's go ahead and move. So before we start, please feel free to ask questions. I think you can put them on the chat, and then somebody from the Tech Academy will let me know about it. And I would like to hear your questions because everything in this PowerPoint uh, is all my opinion. Is all based on my experiences. Um, so I don't like to say that, oh yeah, because I'm saying it and because I'm at Microsoft and blah blah blah, I'm right. Okay. I want to hear other people's opinions and what they think, but this is my presentation, so I'll tell you what's my point of view on things. And I like to be straight up. Like I talk to people on LinkedIn a lot, and I always tell them, hey, I'm going to tell you how it is. I'm not going to sugarcoat anything. So let's continue. Let's focus on mindset. So I feel like just having an attitude towards like what mindset should you have before entering any any type of subject or anything that you want to start. Like you want to start thinking about how to think about that situation before you get into it. Sometimes many of us, we probably in the past made decisions based on emotion, or let's say, uh, I don't know, you got laid off at some job and you heard that you can make a lot of money in tech, so then you automatically just um, get into tech, right, without knowing what are the expectations, nothing, and then you just do this real fast decision without knowing what you're getting into. And I think that's kind of like um, what I want to help with right now. Before you make that decision, or if you already made that decision, then we're also gonna go over what are the expectations and what you should be thinking about after completing a coding bootcamp. So let's start with pre-coding bootcamp mindsets. First thing, first and foremost, it's a marathon, not a sprint. You may heard this. You may hear this in many other subjects. Successful people say this. Um, it's definitely not something you're just going to just read something real quick and just get it right away. It's a process. Uh, will it be easy? No. Is it worth it? Absolutely. It has absolutely changed my life and my family's life to get into the tech industry. Um, but like I said, it was a marathon, not a sprint. I had to work very, very hard, and I had to adjust many parts of my life to in order for me to get to where I am. Um, oh, I'm not for everyone. Oh, okay. I meant to put it's not for everyone. I took the wrong picture there. Sorry. So what I meant to put there is that coding bootcamp is not for everyone. Okay. And I like I said, I'm not gonna sugarcoat anything. It is definitely true. I've seen people getting into the tech industry realizing that this is not something that they want to do. Okay, so being well informed before you get into boot camp is important. Okay, pre-coding boot camps. Let's continue. What to do? The very first thing that I like to tell people before getting into tech and thinking all these ideas, make sure that you are committed to this. I feel like in my opinion, if you just want to try out code just to see if you like it, I think that's not a good mentality. I think a good mentality is okay, I'm going to try this, and whether I like it or not, I want to complete it and really feel it out. I think that's a better mentality uh, to get into these boot camps because that's how you know you're gonna succeed. And then after you succeed at that boot camp, then you can decide what your options is, and you're coming out with a new skill. It's better to get into something and come out of it with some type of skill than going into it not liking it and then quitting. I think that's more of a waste of time. Be humble. I'll explain that. I'll explain that a little bit more in the next slide. But definitely, being humble will help you. Be willing to fail and try again. This may sound like a motivational sort of presentation, but it's not. You literally have to fail to learn in code, like as a software engineer. It happens to me. Happened to me today. Happened to me yesterday. It's just the way it is. You have to be willing to fail. Like if you're the type of a person that you just like to know everything and everything's easy, software engineering is not for you. Be willing to adjust your environment to enable you to succeed. So this is my opinion. I feel like adjusting my environment helped me. That's one of the reasons why I moved from coast to coast. I moved literally from New York, where all my family, all my friends are, all the way to Portland, and this was pre-COVID, so 2019, so that I can completely focus on tech and like build and network around me and surround myself with people that have the same mindset. So and same thing goes along with other things. For example, if you want to start doing exercise, okay, you can start doing exercise at your place. But if you start going to the gym, you're gonna see how that environment actually changes your output. So changing your environment, I think, is pivotal to how far you can take this. Or even just adjusting little things like, okay, make sure you have a specific schedule. That's also adjusting. Be willing to ask questions with or without shame. This one is a big one because you're probably gonna see the same sentence again later on in my presentation because you're gonna do this pre-COVID, pre-coding boot camps and post-coding boot camps. Okay, so be truthful to yourself. Um, by the way, every bullet point I have something to say because when I wrote it is from some experience that I had in the past. And for me, this one is when I went to college, I took two computer science courses and I didn't understand anything. And my entire to just pass the test. Did I pass the test eventually? Yes, I did. Was I being truthful to myself? No. And that is the reason why I did not land any tech jobs after graduating uh, college. That may sound really negative, but it really does impact. Like you really need to understand why you're there for, and you know this is why. Okay, this is all. I don't want to run on a tangent, but I feel like the educational system sometimes is designed for you to try to pass tests rather than to learn, and you're so focused more on that than to actually understand everything that you're learning, and that definitely affected me. And you know what? I'm happy that it happened because I learned from it. So, yeah, let's continue. Be patient. It will take time. The amount of time that I've seen something that just seems so simple uh, and probably is simple, like in a coding language or something that you're learning, you see that same thing again and you completely do it wrong. And you're like, why can I get this? Like, why? You literally get frustrated because you know that you know how to do this, or it was easy that other day, and today, for whatever reason, you messed it up. That's because it takes time. Like everything, things take repetition and experience. It will not be a really fast transition. The fundamentals, or the simple stuff, or the hard stuff doesn't matter. It will take time. Last but not least, be disciplined. Give it all you got. When I was in the coding bootcamp at the Tech Academy, I treated it like a job. Literally, you can ask Rick, right? What's your name? Sorry. You can ask him like, how did I go into the bootcamp? Every day I had like the same shirt, white shirt. I dressed like I was going to work. I made this is what worked for me, so this is what I'm going to tell you, right? Make sure you treat it like it's a job. It's not a game. This is something that you're gonna use for your career. This is the mindset that I have. Okay, I'm like, I need to take this serious, do the best that I absolutely can. And this is a company. If I don't do it right, it's wrong. Like, if I don't do it right, I won't get paid. Even though that's not true, that's exactly that was my mindset, and that's what got me to where I am now. So next, pre-coding bootcamp. Let's continue. Now, what not to do. One, think that a bootcamp will make you rich quick. If you're just getting into a bootcamp, just literally thinking about money, I don't think that's a good mindset to get into it. You want to go in there with the mentality to learn. Uh, think you can learn. Yes, and of course, you do want to make more money because the tech industry has a lot of money, yes. But that's not all, that's not the main, like, only reason why you will want to get into tech. You could do a lot of things for money, right? But you want to pick something you want to do. So think think that you learn faster than others. Don't do that. Once you do that, you start skipping things that you're supposed to learn, and if you do that, you're not being humble. Good luck. Do not worry about speed. Quality is better. In my experience, I'm going to talk about like some peers, at the Tech Academy. I was there with them. Sometimes I saw them. I saw some people flying to the curriculum, and I was like, I mean, I knew better not to compare myself, which is the next bullet point. But I was like, okay, let them do that. I want to actually understand every little thing, every single line of code that I read or that I'm learning. And I just took my time and I literally like wrote a bunch of notes on one line of code if I had to for me to get it. I did that. A year after, 2 years after, look where I am. Look where they are. Not the same. Okay. I'm not bragging. I'm just saying take your time to like really focus on yourself. Don't compare yourself to validate your abilities. Just focus on how you learn, build on that, and take your time. Quality is better, I promise you. Don't lie to yourself. Kind of goes with the same bullet point as before. Like, um, you could be at one part of the boot camp and say, "Oh yeah, I got it," and you didn't, and you continue to the boot camp just because you wanted to finish it. Kind of goes along with worrying about speed and trying to just get through it. You're lying to yourself. That means when literally all these skills that you're learning are going to be used on the job in some type of way. If you don't learn it right, you won't be able to do the job. That's just the way uh, this industry is. B, become impatient or freak out. This happens, okay? Coding can be really frustrating. Some days I feel frustrated myself. I'm like, I'm supposed to know this. Like, why is this failing? And or sometimes, I mean, I know we're on pre-coding boot camps, but yeah, you know what? Let me just talk more on the experience after a boot camp and things like that. But yeah, just be prepared to be frustrated, and the way you handle that frustration is uh, is pivotal to your success. So don't be impatient. Don't freak out. Okay. Last but not least, do not give up. This kind of goes along with what I've mentioned before. Like when you're getting into something, don't when you're getting into a coding bootcamp specifically, don't go in there with the mentality to just try it, but to go through it all and learn something from it, regardless of whether you liked it or not. You've already paid, so get something out of it, and then later on decide if you want to do it or whatever. Some people change their mind. That is okay. I'm not saying stick to one thing. But if you're gonna sign up for something, really go to win, and that's just the winning mentality that I have, and I feel like helps everyone. Okay, so what to expect? Like I said before, it will be challenging. You're gonna have large periods of time where you do not enjoy what you're doing, which I said before as well. It will be frustrating. You spend lots of time on the screen. Yeah, I even have like this blue glasses right now. I don't need glasses, but I wear these because of the amount of screen time that I have, and I make my phone. Uh, I took the blue light off my phone. That's how much like it really affects you. I mean, it affects me. I don't know if it affects somebody else, but be prepared to be on a screen way more, much more than before. Um, you will feel dumb at some point. That happens to me a lot here at Microsoft. That happened to me a lot at the Tech Academy. Okay, and that is part of it. To know that you're gonna feel dumb is actually it will be helpful because when you feel that, then you're gonna be like, oh my god, I'm actually dumb, and then all these negative thoughts come in, and then you just give up, right? It's okay. This is this I think this industry is sort of that way where you see some people and they just get it, and then you see that you don't, and yeah, sometimes you can't control it. You can't control your emotions, but you can't control how you react to those emotions. So if you end up feeling dumb, it's okay. Just take it and be like, okay, it's time to learn this. Right? Is the attitude. No boot camp will make you successful. You make yourself successful. Like I said, I'm gonna be blunt. I don't think the Tech Academy made me successful. I don't think one boot camp is better than the other. I don't think any of those things. I think that the mentality that I have going into that boot camp, regardless of what I chose, I knew I was going to be successful. I mean, I didn't know, but I went there with that mentality that I'm going to learn everything I possibly could from this and more if I have to in order for me to accomplish what I want to accomplish. Right. So if you're going there with this mentality, this is this is what's really gonna like set you apart. Okay. I did mention a lot of scary stuff about coding, but coding can be fun. You know, you're gonna surprise yourself and you're gonna like figure out something. You like, oh my God, I'm actually smart. Some people don't think that they can actually do this, and you'll be surprised. Like every day I surprise myself, even here where at Microsoft. I'm like, wow, I can't believe I just solved that. Like that was crazy. Or even at the boot camp, like I never thought I could just code or understand classes. Like classes took me a while to understand. Like why we need them. Um and yeah, and those wins, like even though you do struggle most of the time, when you get something working, if you've been at a boot camp or coding or anything, you know what I'm talking about. You literally celebrate that this button finally does exactly what you want it to do. So yeah, there's a lot of really good things that can happen when you get into a boot camp. But just I feel like going into it with the right mentality will make it easier for these things to happen as well. Woo! Let's move on to post coding boot camp. I really like this picture that I found online, and it says, "I still have a long way to go, but I'm already so far from it where I used to be, and I'm proud of that." So basically, know that where you are now, you know, you are better and you know a lot more than you used to. However, there's a lot more to learn. Okay. And being proud of what you already done is important. So you to keep basically just keep a positive mindset towards growth. Talking about growth, there's a difference between a growth mindset and a fixed mindset. Like, let's say as soon as you get, I don't know, four things wrong, then you'll be like, okay, then that means I'm not good at this. Okay, growth mindset is okay. Failure is an opportunity to grow. Okay, I did four things wrong. All those, that means I'm going to learn four things and be successful at four things. Right. So that's a growth mindset. That's the kind of mindset you want to have after a boot camp. Okay, so what not to do after finishing a boot camp? Don't think that you must know everything. A lot of these are gonna sound similar, but they're different. Don't think that you must know everything, right? So it's like when you start applying to jobs, you start seeing people, okay, oh, um, or people, you start doing research, or you start seeing, okay, what kinds of people um, get into these jobs, or what kind of prerequisites this job requires. And you're gonna say, oh yeah, I need to know AWS, I need to know Azure Cloud, I need to know this, I need to know that. You you don't need to know everything. Literally, my biggest recommendation is to pick one technology and just know it really well. When you do that, you you're showing recruiters or you're showing employers that you have an ability to learn, right? And even if you, let's say, if you're only coded in Python or only coded in C Sharp, yes, you can apply to jobs using Java. You have and you can show your ability to learn these languages and that you can learn Java as well in the same way. But you have to actually learn it, that first thing that you were learning. So don't basically don't spread out too much, or else something similar to what happened to me when I was in college will happen to you. I knew a little bit about everything. I knew a little bit about networking. I knew a little bit about databases. I knew a little bit about coding. Very little about coding. I knew um, I knew how to open a computer. I knew this. I knew that. But I couldn't land a job because I never really focused on any one of those things. And I wish that my college would have told, like, or professors or something, somebody to tell me that, hey, Nixon, focus on this one thing and you're more likely to land one. So I'm telling you, I'm telling anyone here, focus on one thing, become really good at it, and know that that's a transferable skill. Um, do not think that you don't know anything. Kind of goes along with, um, feeling dumb or learning so much coming into a new job or a new place and not knowing anything about that, right? That's only going to bring negative energy and negative thoughts. Do not think you've learned it all. Some people probably finish a boot camp and they did excellent and their projects were amazing and they have an amazing portfolio and now they feel like they've learned it all. They know a lot and they probably even learn things outside of the boot camp as well. And they probably did get an AWS certification, but that does not, like, if you in any in anything, not just boot camps, if you feel like you learned it all, that's not a good mindset. You probably this you um it's like putting a limit to your success. Um, do not let imposter syndrome dictate your actions. Imposter syndrome, I'm going to talk a little bit about that. But imposter syndrome is not something you can just avoid. It's something that just happens, right? But like I said before, it's a feeling. And your feelings you cannot control, but you could control how you react to those feelings. So whenever you feel imposter syndrome, you feel like you don't belong. Whenever you feel like, um, okay, I just got lucky and I'm not supposed to be here. do other basic. I might go into this one. Look, I can talk about imposter syndrome. Like I could have a whole presentation about imposter syndrome, but basically find ways to remind yourself how much you've accomplished and know your value, okay, and or try to discard those thoughts and just keep working at it. Or I have heard this advice to pretend, keep pretending to to keep pretending that you deserve to be there. You pretend long enough, you forget you're pretending. Okay? Stop. And then do not do this. Stop asking questions. Um, for those going into software engineering, right? When you get a job, at the beginning, everybody's open for you to ask questions. Once, in my experience, after my first year at Microsoft, then they say, okay, Nixon, we want you to become a more um, individual contributor now in order for you to reach the next level. And that's when it gets a little bit tricky. You feel like, oh, okay, so that means I need to do a lot more things. I need to figure out a lot more things on my own. And that is true. However, that doesn't mean you stop asking questions. You're always going to have to ask questions no matter what your expertise is. Yes, you're gonna continue learning, you're gonna continue growing, you're gonna start doing more things on your own. However, I always put a time limit to how much I try to do something on my own. And at Microsoft, we kind of have like sort of like a 15, 30-minute rule. If you're doing something and you spend 15, 30 minutes uh, on it, even if it's super simple, it's better if you ask for help than if you continue doing it on your own. It's just not worth it. So somebody senior can just tell you, oh, just change this line. And they literally know how to fix that thing in 1 second. And you could have spent like maybe like 4 hours trying to figure that same thing out and actually figure that out. You'll feel super proud about it. However, you just waste the company time. And once you get into, you know, higher levels, everything is gonna be about time. And they literally budget everything that they do. And that's why we have sprints and all kinds of things. Okay. So now we want to say what to do. And this list is actually going to look very similar to what to do in the bootcamp, right? Be open-minded. There are many roles out there where you can use your skills. After you go into bootcamp, yes, you could have an opinion. You can say you don't like this, or you could say I like this, whatever. But you finished it and you have new skills. Be open-minded on the kind of roles that you could get into with those skills. There are so many different roles, and there are newer roles right now that not even I would know what those roles are. Like there's even Web3 roles. So that's all new. So be open-minded with the kind of roles that you could get into. You could be a PM, even though you know how to code, a product manager or a project manager or system analyst and all kinds of different things, right? So sometimes, honestly, I at some point I just wanted to get into the tech industry, and I said, okay, I'm gonna say yes to any email that I get. Literally, like if there's somebody and it's in tech and they told me and they're saying that they like my skills, blah blah blah. I don't even read what it is about. I just say yes. Once I get into the interview, then I ask, okay, I actually want to become a software engineer. Are there any um are there any opportunities in that realm? And then if they say no, then you can say no. If they say yes, then you can be okay to doing that one part of the job, learn another new skill, and already know that you have the opportunity to show your skills the year after or something like that. That was actually how I got my first job after the bootcamp. That's how I got to work at Sirius XM, and I did learn a lot there. And even though it wasn't very software engineer heavy, it was mostly like I did learn to write Docker commands and do deployments and do different things like that. And I actually, there's some things that a lot of people just copy paste it. And I created a software that will copy paste things for me. I didn't want to do that work, and I was able to use my engineering skills to help my teammates. So you'd be surprised um, what comes out of just being open-minded. Be a lifelong learner. Okay, this goes along with not feeling like you're an expert, right? That's a bad mindset. A good mindset is to be a lifelong learner. There's people who have 25 years at Microsoft and they're still adapting and learning every single day, even from younger folks that just got into a company. That's a good mindset to be in. You will always grow and you will go far. Be committed. Commitment never stops. Once you make it, I'm not gonna lie. Like when I made it to Microsoft, I was like, I made it. Yeah. Like now, let me just chill a little bit, learn, and not put us at that same like aggressive energy that I had towards a boot camp because I knew I made it. That I had a little period like that, I'm learning from it now to continue that same commitment that you had before. That's what got you there, and that's what will get you further. Be humble. Again, truly own your accomplishments, especially especially as a minority. I have to say that. Like a lot of times you accomplish so many things, nobody tells you, hey, you did a great job, or nobody tells you, hey, we really recognize your work. And sometimes you have to come out and say, hey, I accomplished this, I accomplished this, and I accomplished this. You're welcome. And then people really recognize what you did. So sometimes you gotta be your own like sort of supporter. Be willing to fail and try again. This never stops. This goes forever, forever in any industry. Be willing to adjust, right? Have a fighting mentality. Kind of goes along with like, truly own your accomplishments and really like fight through whatever you're going through, right? Be willing to ask questions. Asking questions never stops, no matter where you are in your career. Be truthful to yourself. Be transparent with others. I really like that one because I literally if I say, hey, I don't feel like I'm growing, or I don't feel like this is the best way we can approach it, even though you have no experience, right? And you tell that, let's say, to a senior engineer who probably gonna laugh at you would think that they will probably laugh at your suggestion or something like that. It's better to be transparent, and that in general, just in life, have I've gotten better results being transparent than not. So I rather that. Admit when you have made a mistake. Same thing. Kind of goes along with being transparent. Be patient. That's a lifelong thing. Be disciplined. That's also a lifelong thing. As life, I think yeah, I'm 30 now, and I have more responsibilities, and that same discipline really helps, like organize every aspect of my life. How much time do I have? Oh my god, I want to have some time for questions. All right, so what to expect? It will be challenging to land a job. Period. Not gonna be easy, even after a bootcamp. You will get ghosted by many companies. You will get sat in. There was a company that I reached all the way to the third round, and then they ghosted me. They didn't tell me anything. You're gonna fail a lot. And I like to tell people that look, I fail 99% of the time, but that 1% changed my life. So fail forward. Some people say have tough competition. You're gonna have a lot of tough competition. There's a lot of people out there with computer science degrees that actually do know more than you, and you still gotta stand for yourself and really own what you know. That kind of goes along with not comparing yourself. I didn't compare myself with computer science. I just made sure that whatever I knew, I presented, and that's how you get far. Need to learn a lot more than you already did. Yes, you will need to learn a lot more than you already did. Don't feel like you already know it all. It's just the beginning. You will feel dumb. That's okay. Um, I have to sort of mention this. Bootcamp graduates usually do miss some of the fundamentals. Okay, so you're gonna like sort of find gaps here and there that you're like, oh wow, like, oh, I'm a software engineer, but I don't know that. And whenever you find those moments, have no shame. Keep learning. Have a positive mindset. Sometimes, oh, I don't know how memory works. Like sometimes that happens, and sometimes you just gotta step back and go back to the basics. Even being at Microsoft with things like that, uh, going back to the basics is uh, sometimes essential. And even I think a principal engineer in my team, he even told me like, hey, sometimes I even have to go back to basics of things because I forgot or I didn't have that knowledge. So don't feel shame. Like I said, imposter syndrome, how to deal with it. You will encounter it. I feel like almost everybody in tech encounter this, minority or not minority. It just happens. You just get so much work and a bunch of stuff that you just don't know that you just feel out of place. Same thing, even entering a boot camp. This goes for post and pre boot camp. You just feel so out of place, and it's all about how you react to it, right? Or finding ways to react, even if you don't know how to cope with it. At least have the positive mentality to seek for help and seek guidance. Okay, my general recommendations. Trust me, bro. This will work. This helps. If you fail to plan, you plan to fail. Plan. Whatever you do, plan it out and it comes out better. Take breaks to avoid burnout. When I was at the Tech Academy, we would go downstairs, play some ping pong. Like that boosted my energy so much more. When I came back onto the computer, I was like, yeah, I'm ready to code now. And I didn't have that energy before I did that. So taking breaks is just as important as working. Sleep well. That's his life. If you don't sleep well, you won't perform as good. Exercise, play a sport, ping pong, dance, do something physical. Why? Because I don't feel like humans are designed to sit on a chair on the screen, and that's just the truth. We're just not designed to do exactly what we're doing. But unfortunately, we live in a capitalistic world, and that's just the way things are, right? So we have to adjust to that and make sure you go out there and do something physical. Lower dopamine levels. This is super important. I've actually started like experimenting with this, and this is I'm learning all of this as I go to it. I'm not like a expert at anything I'm saying right now, but stay away from your phone for as long as possible. I've been doing that past months now because I recognized I've been on my phone a lot, and I wanted to be more focused and improve my productivity in general and everything. Oh man, that helps me a lot to stay away from your phone. You don't have to know what everybody's doing at all times. You don't have to respond to somebody so fast. Meditate. That helps a lot. Please search out meditation and see what what benefits people have gotten from doing that. It's already benefited me. I just started that like maybe 3 weeks ago. Read books. Sometimes to some people, reading books seem boring, and it's not as exciting as watching a movie or doing a really high dopamine level activity. Reading books, I think, is really important. You get to learn, and you get to, even if you get bored reading a book, allow yourself to be bored, and that's the next bullet point, because that enhances your creativity. And literally, it's kind of like you're tricking yourself to making things that you usually don't want to do, that you should do, but and that you want to do. You start making those things feel fun. So literally, as soon as I started decreasing all my dopamine levels, my job became more fun because literally, if you put yourself in a room, they have done experiments on this. If you put yourself in a box in a room with nothing to do, and they give you a notebook or a book to read, you're gonna read that book because that's gonna be your source of dopamine. Um, so yeah, it helps. Last but not least, block negativity, embrace positivity. I feel like, yeah, my entire journey has been all about staying positive regardless of what happens. Life throws curveballs. It is what it is. In conclusion, be positive, live for today. There's always an answer, always a way. Okay. Definitely live for today. Sometimes you could spend a whole day trying to figure out a bug. Just go to sleep, live your life, continue it tomorrow. And last but not least, never give up. Because I think that's the biggest one. Um, that's what really sets apart from a lot of people who become successful and a lot of people who don't. People who people who become successful, it's very simple. They just never give up. Never. They just keep going, keep going, keep going. And they're okay with failing. There's I don't even want to say I know somebody who tried to get into the Leap apprenticeship program. They tried 5 times before becoming successful. Before and actually entering the program. I applied twice. I failed the first time. And I tried again and I'm here now. There's a lot of people who have failed so many times and then got in. So if you fail the first time and then you don't try again, that's giving up. If that's your goal. Questions? Finally got here.
Thank you, Nixon. That was very informative and definitely very motivating. Oh, it looks like we already have a question in the chat from Derek. So, what were some of the things you learned or did after boot camp that helped you land your role?
I definitely let me stop for something. I definitely decided to focus on specific things. I decided to focus on algorithms and data structures. Like depending on what your goal is, depending on what you're gonna do, and how, and then I also try to get deeper into everything that I already know. So, for example, if I started learning about classes and blah blah blah, and I got to write this program about bootcamp, okay, now do I really understand it and really try to like do your research on how these things work, right? Kind of going a little bit deeper into a specific technology. Like bootcamps are not there to like make you experts. They're gonna just give you what you need, the resources for you to continue to learn, right? And that was kind of like my tactic. My tactic is not to learn so many things, focus on one thing and get really good at it. And that's what you will present to your employers.
It's a great presentation, Nixon, and we spent a lot of time on the whiteboard with those algorithms.
Yes, yeah, you remember. I was there.
I remember
doing algorithms and all kinds of things, and it definitely it paid off. It paid off.
Yeah, no, you were definitely very committed, and I think that helped you a lot. And great success story for the Tech Academy for sure. What would you say? What is it like working with the team at Microsoft now? So, kind of your day-to-day working with the team, doing your sprints, that kind of thing.
Working day to day with a team is definitely a learning curve. Learning how to communicate your question. Knowing even okay. So the first thing that I learned right away as soon as I got into Microsoft is ask questions about your questions. Sometimes you don't know what to even ask. So it's okay to ask your whatever manager or whoever, your buddy, whoever's working with you, hey, so what question should I be asking right now about this. And I did that a lot. And then I was able to get that information, and then I learned how to ask questions, or what are the best questions to ask, or what are the questions that I shouldn't really ask, and I should really like investigate more. And then from there you just keep evolving. Then you're like, okay, now I'm asking good questions. Is there a way to ask better questions? And it just goes on. You just continue evolving as you go.
Good advice. And Jennifer had to stop by and say hi as well.
Hey, yes, Jennifer was there on my journey. She was there, and it was fun.
Okay, it looks like we have some other questions in the chat. If anybody wants to ask their question, let us just know. You can raise your hand if you want to do it through the mic. But let's see. Jennifer actually has a question. If you could go back and do TTA over again, what, if anything, would you do differently?
Oh, wow. That's a good question. This may sound arrogant, but I wouldn't change a thing. Like, yeah, I just went in there with a plan, and I executed it. Yeah. Yeah, I would do it exactly the same.
Nothing different. Exactly the same. Got it.
Yeah.
Let's see. So Jacob has a question. Would you further explain the apprenticeship or / internship that led you to Microsoft? Was it directly from Microsoft?
Oh, explain about the LEAP apprenticeship program. Wait, what
Yes.
about it?
They're asking how basically you got that apprenticeship. Was it directly through Microsoft?
No, it was not. Yes and no. So the way I found out about LEAP apprenticeship program was through LinkedIn, a LinkedIn conversation, because I had no idea what LEAP that it even existed. But I kept seeing people getting hired at Microsoft, and then I just chose one random person, and I was like, I DM'd them, and it was like, hey, congratulations. That would actually be a dream come true for me to accomplish that one day. And they said thank you, and they said check out Leap, and I was like, what is that? I'll definitely check it out. Since that conversation, and I contacted her after I got into Microsoft again. I was like, look, that little conversation literally changed my life. So I guess the biggest lesson here is to network and know what's out there. There are many opportunities. There are many other apprenticeships. Don't just look at Microsoft Leap. Look at there's apprenticeship for Twitter. Google has one too. Amazon has some similar thing, and there's a bunch of companies. Just get your foot in the door. Get into just land that first job. I feel like once you pass that hurdle of landing your first job, then it becomes easier to grow. And to grow, you gotta have that mindset. Some people land their first job and that's it. They're like, okay, I made it. And I didn't do that. Like I just kept going. And then literally I was a month into the job and I quit. And then went to leave. It's crazy. I didn't know that would happen like that, but that's because I just kept my grind and just kept asking questions. Right. So being really curious and just continuing. It's good.
Got it. And there's a follow-up question with that from Jacob. During this internship, did they pay you a livable wage?
Oh yeah.
The internship? Okay.
The Leap Apprenticeship program, they pay $40 an hour, I think. Yeah, it's pretty livable. I never made that much in my life before then. Even my previous job paid less than that. Even my previous job at SiriusXM. So, and that was that was a contract, so that was short term, 16 weeks. After that, then you will do an interview for Microsoft. And it's not guaranteed. Like it depends if your team wants you, and if you network and actually look for a team and apply. Like there's many ways.
The hard work really pays off.
Exactly.
Yes, it does. Yes, it does. One thing I like to like go by and keep in my head is that whenever I feel like I'm being lazy or not doing much, I always think, and I say not to compare myself, but I kind of do sometimes. Um, I'm like, there's somebody out there grinding, like, and just putting a lot of work in right now, as I just do nothing. Like, that's not a good look. Let me get up and do something. Right? I like to think that sometimes and to encourage myself to do more.
That's awesome. Um, so kind of a follow-up question to that. So what did you think you did differently between the first and the second time you applied to LEAP that helped you get in? It looks like
There's
Derek is trying
there's
to get
nothing
into it for the second time applying. So he's
there's
looking for some advice.
it's not about what I do differently. It's about taking what you learned from the last experience. So if you can imagine, the first time I applied, I failed, and there I started analyzing all the things that I did wrong. So the next time, it's only gonna go better. Like really sit down and I guess the biggest lesson there is know and understand like where you need to improve and work on it to make sure the next time is better. And I failed so many times, and that's why I'm like, I just love failure now because I failed so many times. I knew exactly what not to do, and it's like it gives me an easier path in the long run. But some people they fail 3 times and they're already upset.
All right. So those are all the questions that we have in the chat so far. So let me know if there are any left. I know we're at kind of like the 2 o'clock mark, but let me know if you do have anything. Oh, it looks like Jacob does. Do you have a portfolio website and would be willing to share?
Oh yeah, I do. Of course, I do share this to many people. By the way, you can follow me on LinkedIn, and if you click on contact, you're gonna see my portfolio, and that's actually a portfolio that I created when I was at the Tech Academy, and that's what they looked at when I got into Leap. So it's a good reference. Can you make something better than I did? Yes, I can definitely. That could definitely be improved, but I just stopped working on it as soon as I had the opportunities.
Work in
Well,
progress. I also shared your LinkedIn in the chat, so anyone who wants to go check it out,
Yeah,
it's
go on
top.
contact, and there's a link there. You know what? Let me put the link. I'm lazy. I don't want to click on things. Actually, no, I should not say that. I just said not to be lazy, right? Sorry, this whole Google Chrome and like thing. Yeah, just go there, click contact, and then you see um like there's gonna on the sections that says website, and there's gonna be a link of my portfolio there.
sounds good, Nicson. Nicson, it's going to be tough to give up the TikTok.
TikTok. What
Well,
about?
you were talking about getting away from social media.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. I stopped on social media like it's been almost 2 months now, and every time I've stopped it before, and I feel like every time I stop it, something amazing happens in terms of your like in life, in progress, and more attention, things like that. So I feel like that is so important. It's something to be addressed. Yeah, and in general, I feel like people
Basically like
shouldn't be. Mhm.
basically like dopamine fasting. Is that what it's called? They
Yep,
call it in Silicon Valley. Did you completely delete like all your social media, or you just like basically deleted the app? Or
I just deleted the app so I don't have access because I do live far away from a lot of family members and things like that. So I do plan to get back on it. But honestly, things been going so good, and I'm focused on all my plans, and I'm doing so well at that that I'm not even excited to get back in. I just want to go in there, make a post, and get out as soon as I could, and just delete it.
yeah,
That's my
usually like
plan.
I've done that a few times before. And once you get back, you're like, oh, I guess I didn't really miss anything. I don't know why I've been so like
Yeah,
addicted to this.
the thing is,
But
if you think about it, before we had all this social media stuff, did you know what the next person was doing the next day? Like, we didn't. So our focus was on what we have in front. So it's like that's the reason why everything you have in front of you will go much better.
I
And
agree.
if you have like a growth mindset, then all that attention, all those little seconds count. Then all that will go towards like your growth, and that's what I'm sort of seeing with that.
Get rid of the distractions.
Yep.
Exactly. And it can really it really does affect your focus because like especially with like TikTok, you see like all these 6-second or 7-second videos
Yep.
and you just keep going and it's just like new
You-
content all of the time as long as you're
You'd be surprised how
scrolling down there.
much work you're actually adding to yourself by going onto your phone. Like you're actually like doing a lot of work, but it's not meaningful. It's not going anywhere, and that's the problem there. But if
Exactly.
you use social media for business purposes, that's a completely different story. I don't. I
Those,
use it literally for social.
those algorithms get you hooked in.
Yeah, they do. They know what they're doing, and it's sad. Sad.
It is that they're really good at it that's for sure. All right. So I did, like I mentioned, I did put Nixon's LinkedIn in there. So in case you guys do have any questions after the talk, feel free to reach out to him. Also, we are recording this presentation and we will be posting it on our YouTube channel later in case you want to rewatch. And here's a link to that. I'll also put that in the chat. And next week, we actually have someone coming in and giving leadership tips. It's with Sean Williamson, and here is a link to that meetup page in case you want to RSVP. But anyhow, so thank you so much, Nixon. That was very definitely motivating, and thank you so much for sharing your tips and your experience. Thank you for joining us again. Maybe you can join us soon for
No.
another imposter syndrome talk.
Sorry, I can't. I'm in
Um,
here. I do this every once in a while. Let's see.
No, yeah, of course. I'll reach out to you in a few months or maybe a few weeks. But thank you again for joining, and thank you everyone else for joining. And I hope to see you guys next week.
Perfect. Thank you.
Thanks,
Appreciate
Nixon. That was insightful and inspirational. We appreciate it. And
Thank
really
you.
good to see you.
You guys inspire me as well. Everyone inspires me. It sounds weird, but it's true.
Cool stuff. We will have you back again soon.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye,
See you, Nixon.
Bye, guys.